Hi, it's Mr. Jensen. Today I'd like to go over the celestial sphere and where the sun will be located at 12 noon, at sunrise and sunset for each season. And by season, I mean the very beginning of it. So the summer solstice, winter solstice, and then the fall and spring equinoxes. So to get a general feel for what the celestial sphere is, you have to imagine kind of what you're looking at. So the person would be right in the center. Directly above the person's head would be what we call the zenith. Zenith is this point in space that's 90 degrees above your head. If you were at the North Pole, 90 degrees above your head would be Polaris, or the North Star. I'm going to try and make this a New York example, and even more specifically, a Long Island example for our class. So if you were looking towards the north, you would be looking at the Long Island Sound. If you were looking towards the south, you would be looking towards the Atlantic Ocean. If you were looking towards the west, you would be looking towards New York City. And if you were looking towards the east, you would be looking towards Montauk. So that gives you kind of a feel of 3D space in just a 2D drawing. So what is this supposed to represent? And this is going to be my first drawing, is going to be what it's like at the equinoxes, and I'll do it again. So the most standard version of this is at the equinoxes. During the fall and the spring, the sun will rise in the east, per usual, and it will do it what we would say directly east. It rises directly east. It will go to the highest point of its daily path, and that highest point would be 12 noon. Then it will set and get to the horizon directly on the directly west at what we call sunset. And I didn't label this. If it's in the east, it's the sunrise. So in the morning, you look towards Montauk or the east, and you have a sunrise. You look towards New York City or the west during the sunset. Then, if you notice, during the day and going into the evening, the sun's path happens to be in the south. So if you want to look at the sun on Long Island during the day when it's up, traveling along its path, you have to look towards the south, towards the Atlantic Ocean. In the northern hemisphere, if you want to look at the sun, you have to look towards the south. All right, so this is an allocated time if it's on the equinox. And during the equinox, it's the easiest to explain. That's why I use it first. This will take 6 hours, and this will take 6 hours. So from sunrise to the 12 noon, the highest point of the day, the highest point of the sun of the day, 6 hours. From the highest point to sunset, another 6 hours. That's a total of 12 hours of daylight, and we call it an equinox because the day is 24 hours, which means that the sun is not shining on us for 12 hours as well. 12 and 12, equinox. So what does it look like during the summer? And this is coming up. This is the summer solstice. This is June 21st. So I have what it looks like from space and what it looks like from the celestial sphere that you're standing in. So for this, I'm going to circle one on here. This is our summer example. And our summer starts June 21st. So here is a person standing in the middle. And here is the zenith and the celestial sphere. North is the Long Island Sound, south is the Atlantic Ocean, west is the city, east is Montauk. During June 21st, the sun does not directly rise east. It rises what we would call north of east. So instead of being here, I'll do it in green, the sun will start to rise a little bit towards the north of east. So our sunrise will actually be north of east in this like quadrant here. So what that does is it makes it a longer day. So here we have the sun, and the sun is higher than normal, or higher than the equinox. And it will then set how we would describe as north of west, because it's not directly west, it's a bit north of that. All right, and then our days are a different time, because we could have uneven days and nights. So instead of 6 hours up and 6 hours down, you can have 7 hours up and 7 hours down, creating a 14-hour day. And it goes up, I think, to a 16-hour day. So I think we could even change that 8 hours up and 8 hours down on the summer solstice. It's the longest day of the year. So after June 21st, our days do actually start to get a bit shorter each day. All right, the equinoxes, I did explain it in the first one, but we'll do it again. On the equinoxes, spring and fall. So we have autumn in this picture and spring. Spring is March 21st. Autumn is September 21st, and sometimes they're not the 21st, sometimes they're like the 21st to the 23rd. So during this time, the equinoxes, it rises exactly on east. It doesn't go as high as it does in the summer, but the highest point will still be 12 noon, and it will set directly west. Right, and then these ones I explained, it's an even 6 hours for the equinox. Right? Then I have my winter, and during winter, this winter solstice, this is December 21st. We are going to have the shortest days, and our sun is not going to be directly west. Our sunset and sunrise is not going to be directly west. It's not going to be directly east. So my sunrise is going to be east, per usual, but it's going to be south of east. So my sunrise is south of east. It's going to go up to 12 noon, but maybe you caught on, 12 noon now, the sun is way lower in the sky. So this time period that it takes the sun to get to the highest point is a lot lower. And I'm just making an example, it could be 4 hours. We have like very short days. As it goes down, it will again not set exactly west, but it will set what we describe as south of west. And this could be another 4 hours, making our daylight hours only a total of 8. So we have really short days in the winter, which maybe you notice when you get up for school and it's like dark out, and then you go to school and it's like light out, and then you're leaving school and you only have like an hour of sun left. Whereas right now, if we were in school, if you did wake up at 6, it would be pretty bright out already. And then it's not dark out until like 8:30 now. All right, so that is a general overview of the celestial sphere and where the sun and the earth are in space during the seasons.